In part one, I told you that math tricks are hurting your child. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how that happens. We're going to break down the butterfly method, one of the most destructive tricks in math. And I'm going to show you how fractions should actually be taught. Yes, it's harder than the trick, but unlike the butterfly method, it has lasting value. Once you master it, you can use any trick you want, but you have to understand it first. I'm Bernie Dov. I help kids go from struggling with math to confidence and mastery. In this video, I'm going to show you how the way math is taught in school is hurting the smartest kids and destroying their confidence. If you want to see if I can help your child replace the destructive math tricks with real math and save them years of frustration, click the link in the description where we can schedule a free diagnostic math call. When a kid tells me I use the butterfly method, I ask the butterfly method for doing what? They can't tell me. They just know it's called the butterfly method and it's steps for doing something that they think they recognize. The butterfly method is a trick for adding fractions of unlike denominator. That's what it is. But nobody says that and the kids don't understand that. They just say butterfly method and it takes on a life of its own. We give names to the shortcut and forget what the shortcut's for. In my 15 years of rebuilding math foundations, adding fractions of unlike denominator is one of the hardest skills in elementary school, but you must master it. Everything else depends on this. The reason teachers have no choice but to use the butterfly method is that the kids are missing the prerequisites for learning math correctly. They can't teach it properly because the foundation isn't there. But masking over that with a trick doesn't fix the problem. It hides it, and this will hurt them for years to come. The butterfly method makes it simpler because it requires less prerequisites. The butterfly method doesn't care if you know what a common denominator is. It doesn't care if you know what a lowest common multiple is. It doesn't care if you can do division. It only cares that you can do multiplication and addition. So it mechanically lets you solve the problem with less prerequisite skills. And that looks like a win. But here's the thing. Every one of those skills, the butterfly method lets you skip: division, prime numbers, factors, multiples, lowest common denominator. Every one of those is the core of algebra. So show me a kid that is struggling with algebra, and I'll show you a kid that used the butterfly method to mask adding fractions of unlike denominator. So effectively, you traded your kid's future in algebra for a shortcut in 5th grade. The deal with the devil is that it appears to be good because it requires less prerequisite skills. But sooner or later, it catches up. I had a student, a senior in high school, getting 100 in AP Calculus. That's hard stuff. And when I asked him, what does this mean? He was doing a derivative problem. All he could say was, I do this with this and this. I said, no, don't tell me what you do. Tell me what it means. I said, what does dx over dy means? He said, I have no idea. I just know what to do. Let me show you. So let's take this example of 3/4 plus 5/6. So what the butterfly method says is you loop the 3 on the first fraction on the left side with the bottom of the second fraction, the 6. You loop the 3 and the 6. And you multiply 3 times 6, and hopefully they can know that's 18. Then we loop the 4 and the 5, the other direction diagonally, and multiply those. You get 20. Then we add the 20 and the 18, and you get 38. Then we simply multiply the 8 times 6 and get 48, and voila, you have 38 over 48. And the only skills you needed was the multiplication and addition. They didn't understand the problem, but they can solve it using this simpler mechanical steps that does not require division or lowest common denominator, lowest common multiples, greatest common factors, any of that. Though it does, when they get 38 over 40, they still have to know how to simplify that. And that's another thing they can't do, but at least they were able to get an answer for this problem. So that's the mechanical trick. All they had to do was draw the butterfly, multiply the diagonals, add the results, and multiply the denominators. They didn't understand the problem. They don't understand what they did, but they got the answer. But one of the deep consequences, I see this all the time in 7th grade, 8th grade, through high school. You show them 3/4 times 5/6, and they don't recognize that does not require the butterfly method. In fact, that is a simpler problem. But because they're so focused on the butterfly method, when they see a fraction, they start doing it and they get it all wrong. And then they get frustrated and say math is stupid and there's no point. So what's the real math? Let's do the real math without the trick. It's harder. It requires the underlying skills. But when you're done, you actually know something and have skills you can use going forward. We're adding fractions of unlike denominators. The first thing I teach my students is that you can only add fractions if the denominators are the same. So step one is start simple. So I first show them how to add fractions of like denominators. Let's take an example. Let's take an example of 1/6 plus 2/6. 1/6 plus 2/6, the denominators are the same, so most kids will say 3/6. I stop them. I say that answer is correct, but you skipped a step. I want to see how you got there. And the truth is, what I show them, 1/6 plus 3/6, 1/6 plus 2/6 is 1 plus 2 over 6. Then you do 1 plus 2 equals 3, which is 3 over 6, and then you can reduce it to a half. And then, of course, invariably, the kids will say, Mr. D, why are you making something so simple, so complicated? Because that little step you're skipping in this simple thing is what's going to bite you in the future. That missing step that you're skipping out in a simple problem will destroy you in algebra. And if you show me a kid that's struggling with algebra, I can guarantee you every time I trace back the problems, it goes back to 5th grade. Now we'll take 3/4 plus 5/6, two fractions that do not have the same denominator. And the first thing I teach my students to say out loud is to say that I cannot solve this problem. I cannot add these fractions because I cannot add fractions if the denominator is not the same. You can only add fractions if the denominator is the same. So what do? We throw up our hands and say, no, we can't do it? No. In order to do this, we have to convert this problem that we cannot do to an equivalent problem that we can do. That's what all of math is. Which brings up my favorite corny joke, drum roll. How do you kill a red elephant? Well, with a red elephant gun, of course. So then the question is, how do you kill a blue elephant? Well, with a blue elephant gun? No. You paint the elephant red, and then you use a red elephant gun. Why is that joke math? Because what it's saying is, you know how to kill a red elephant with a red elephant gun. That's your tool. So when you're presented with a problem that you cannot solve because the denominator is not the same, you must convert that problem to an equivalent problem. The key word is equivalent. That is the same, has the same meaning, but that does have the common denominator. So 3/4 plus 5/6. We've got to find the lowest common denominator. What that is, that's a separate skill. But in this case, I'm going to tell you what that lowest common denominator is. It's 12. How we find that, that's another video. Finding the lowest common denominator is a whole skill by itself. Multiples, factors, prime numbers, I'll make separate videos on that. So we have to convert each fraction to equivalent fractions that have denominators of 12. 3/4 is the same as 9 over 12, 9/12. 5/6 converts to 10 over 12. Now, therefore, 3/4 plus 5/6 is the same as 9/12 plus 10/12. Well, 9/12 plus 10/12, I do what I did before, is simply 9 plus 10 over 12. So what we've done is we've painted the elephant red. We've converted the problem we couldn't do to a problem we can do. And don't skip that step. Write 9 plus 10 over 12, and then add 9 plus 10 to give you 19. Both methods give us the same answer. The butterfly gave you 38 over 24, which had to be simplified to 19 over 12. And the real math, using the lowest common denominator, got us to 19 over 12 directly. And here's the sad truth. The kids who struggle with this, who are confused with this, are the smartest students. The confused kid is the one that is asking the question and says this makes no sense. And that's the kid that is most traumatized, because the other kids who are not asking questions, who just followed the instructions, did the trick, did it mechanically, they were rewarded for it. The smart kid says, what's wrong with me? And they hide the fact that it doesn't make sense, and they are afraid to ask the question. Those are the kids who turn away from math, and that destroys lives. I've seen it over and over again. I meet adults who call me in their 70s who cry because they couldn't do math. They thought they were not math people, and because of that, they didn't pursue the careers and things they wanted to do their whole life and lived to regret it. If you found this details confusing of this math, you should. That tells you the foundation needs work. That's okay. I'll make separate videos. So to sum it up, this one skill that I demonstrated in this video, adding fractions of unlike denominator, done properly, doesn't just fix 5th grade. It unlocks everything that comes afterwards. Middle school math, high school math, algebra, SAT prep, college work. The programs and colleges that the careers depend on passing those gates. And here's what I see every single time. When a kid discovers they can do something that they thought they could never understand, that transforms everything. The confusion and the dejection turns into real, lasting confidence. And that confidence propels them not just in math, but in everything else. One skill done right, that's all it takes. If you want to see how fast your child can actually learn this, click the link in the description and share this video with a parent who needs this. See you in the next video.